It is a question of what society we want in the future and which future for society. Who can better address this question than Nicolas Miailhe, who was the founder of the Future Society? In discussion with Laurent Félix, Head of Sustainable Business Transformations and General Manager France at Ekimetrics, and Philippe Rambach, Chief AI Officer at Schneider Electric. Nicolas Miailhe, you founded the Future Society to anticipate on risks and opportunities of artificial intelligence. What did the students' insight inspire to you?
Well, really resonated with me, showing that the work that we've been doing, including at the Global Partnership on AI, to build the field of responsible AI adoption for the environment, building operational frameworks, building metrics, and including educational and capacity building solutions is not in vain. They are really demanding solutions, they are demanding pathways, and they are demanding opportunities. And if you listen carefully to what they say, they're also something which is very important, which is that they're demanding meaningful jobs. They don't want to work anymore for organizations that simply maximize the shareholder value. They want the value to help solve and move towards net neutrality. And the last thing that it projected me towards is the fact that they see the value of digital technologies, and particularly AI, in solving the climate crisis. And I think it's great because indeed, when you look at what AI is about, which is predominantly about distilling raw data into information, optimizing complex systems, improving prediction, and catalyzing new scientific discovery, we clearly have in front of us a great opportunity. If and only if we don't fall into the trap, the dangerous trap of techno-solutionism. And let me be very clear from the get-go. AI can be a solution, but only will play a small part of the solution, vis-à-vis, for example, behavioral adaptation. And it's something which is very important to understand, because if we fall into the trap of technological solutionism, we run the risk of amplifying what we have seen in season 1 of AI with racial bias, amplified fake news, environmental impact, and the potential implosion of our democratic models. And what we have tried to demonstrate with the report we commissioned last year at GPA on AI for climate action is that there are countless use cases to help advance climate action through AI across a number of industrial fields. Electricity, as Philippe will talk about later, buildings and cities, heavy industries and manufacturing, agriculture, market and finance, land use, forestry. So the potential is there for us to capture, only if we don't trip over ourselves. That's where Ekimetrics is important, because we need to be driven towards digital transformation, and only if we don't lie to ourselves. There is no silver bullet.
So to me, it's very promising and reassuring to see that young people has the sustainability topic at the heart of their consideration, but it's also a lesson to say we need to make it operable, meaning that it's affordable for them, looking to the price mentioned of the other student.
I mean, a bit the same. First, great to see that level of concern for sustainability. I'm whatever old I am, I won't say it, but nobody was mentioning that when I was at school or university. So great to see that it's coming. My message to them would be, this is not as difficult to mix the capacity to do it with the various constraints you can have of lifestyle, cost, etc. So really join us, don't fear AI, and use AI as a wonderful tool, as you were saying, to accelerate and make it affordable to everybody to have a sustainable planet.
How can artificial intelligence help companies take up their new challenge?
We think that our clients need data and AI to move forward towards sustainability. They don't believe that it's the alpha and omega of the solution, and we don't believe it neither. So as Nicolas was just saying, techno-solutionism is not at all in our DNA. What we think is data must help accelerate and prioritize the right actions to going forward.
Okay, so artificial intelligence accelerates sustainable business transformation. How do you articulate these two pillars at Schneider Electric?
What I would say probably is, although technology is not the only solution, it can certainly help to contribute to solve the climate dilemma. And it has totally shaped our strategy in Schneider, and where we think we can help and contribute to solving it is by helping our customers on two topics. And we believe that one of the things where we can help is through electrification and digitization. Electrification because obviously, even with all the existing today limitations, electricity is the only energy that can be fully decarbonated. Digitization on the other side, because another thing is to use as much as possible decarbonate energy, but also to use as less energy as possible. So by being more efficient, and if you are able to use less energy to heat your buildings, power your data centers, product your cement, if you are able to do that by 10, 15 or 20%, you are actually really impacting the climate in a positive way without changing too much the way of lives. And digitization is key because if I come back to your question of what we do and our strategy, we have been having in mind since 15 years both sustainability and efficiency, and sustainability through efficiency, helping our customers being more efficient, starting by automating their processes, their building, their data centers, giving them products to do that. After that, to go to the next step, we say, let's connect this product to gather data, understand what's happening in the buildings, in the data centers, in the electrical grid, in the factories, collect this data, and provide softwares to help them visualize, contextualize, understand what was happening in their processes, providing also them with platform to store all this data. You see me coming? Obviously, the next step after that, to go to the next level of efficiency, is to help them with artificial intelligence. And we strongly believe that artificial intelligence is a technique, a tool, where you need also to understand your domain, understand the bias risk, understand the ethical risk, understand the technical risks. Because when you start to apply on technical, you're going to use it to control machines, and you need to make sure of safety, of efficiency, of all of that. And therefore, we believe that by combining AI and domain knowledge in energy management and industrial automation, our contribution to the climate change is to help our customers through digitization to be more efficient and much less energy, and if possible, use an electrical one, which will be decarbonized. That would be our vision for a world a bit more sustainable for our part, which is a small part of it, but probably a significant part for the customers we serve.
To rebound on what Philippe just said, I'd like to mention Jean-Pascal Tricoire, the CEO of Schneider. He mentioned that to reach our objective of the Accord de Paris to be net zero by 2050, we need to go 3 times faster and 3 times bigger right now. So it's all about that. AI must identify where the impact is the bigger and how to get with velocity to this impact. Let me give some examples. Maybe I'll start with examples that are not the first thing we think about AI. It is something around soft power of AI. Talking about consumer, talking about marketing effectiveness. If I take an example of the automotive industry, which is very regulated, I think the main lever at short term today is to move the product mix towards light electric vehicles, not too heavy electric vehicles. And for that, being able to use marketing and data science to understand the consumer behaviors and influence it, that's a first key lever. My second example is if I take the cosmetic industry, where I would say ethical transparency is key for the consumers. We could use AI, and we can use AI because we do it already at Ekimetrics, to sense the customer perception of the brand, of their products and their services, and then to make sure that, let's say, that the right direction for their products is going the right way. So I think the first power, the soft power of AI is really interesting to consider. And last example, not soft power, but let's say mostly driven by efficiency on financial services. If you are a fund or a bank, you have thousands of clients, potentially, thousands of counterparts, and knowing where to act first is really a nightmare. It's too complex. And using AI, once again, you can prioritize that with estimation, statistical estimation of carbon footprints, for instance, and decide where the 80% of the carbon emission, if we take this example, can be tackled with 20% of your value chain, let's say.
Nicolas, Miailhe, how would you translate the commitment to sustainability into data companies?
Well, I think that the digital transition combined with the ecological transitions are two of the most important trends for the future. We need to square them up. We need to align them. But we need to do that in a way that does not sacrifice, but actually uphold the best from our values in terms of liberté, égalité, fraternité, and our democratic systems. And that's not easy. Why? Because God knows what can happen under the shadow of war and the shadow of a climate emergency. And God knows what could happen if we resort to these technologies in the way that is not responsible. You have all seen the Black Mirror TV series. Mm-hmm. Okay, it's not impossible to imagine in a country not too far away from here, a personal, let's say, climate optimization, CO2 emission powered engine, social scoring, that could really help us move towards net neutrality, but at the cost of privacy and democracy. We do not want that. So we need to square them up and align them in practice. And how do you do that in practice? Well, it's really important that the AI community, the AI and data community, starts by exercising responsibility and showing leadership in practice. And a lot is happening in that. A lot is already happening. Maybe a few examples. We need to, and we are developing responsible AI frameworks applied to the move towards net neutrality in a way that reconciles to biodiversity preservation. Important because there are tensions there. We also need to develop, and we are developing, roadmaps to operationalize critical pathways and solutions towards that to inform the work of governments. Third, we need metrics, benchmarking and evaluation methodologies, particularly vis-à-vis the energy and water footprint of AI. We need to have authoritative and independent metrics to demonstrate what works, what doesn't work, and the impact of AI, including negative impact on the environment. And maybe finally, we need a lot of toolkits, including to help in the field of electrification, for example, show pathways towards SMEs and other actors. And one other thing we're doing at the Global Partnership on AI, as an example, is we are going to release in the next few weeks a small booklet on AI electricity readiness self-assessment tool to show the way. We will then do it, and we call on others to do it for other sectors, buildings, cities, agriculture. It's important to show the way, but as I said, show the way in the way that is anchored from the get-go into a responsible AI practice. Otherwise, we run the risk of really sacrificing our most important values.
Speaking of efficiency, what is your take on AI in the society?
I was thinking to what these young students were saying. Okay, they want sustainability, but at the same time, they have the constraints of price or availability and so on and so on. And of course, they can try, and I hope they try, to solve the dilemma at their level. But we can also try to find ways, and that's really what I believe myself, and I'll give a couple of examples. If you use AI to optimize the consumption of electricity in buildings. Some people say that building is 40% of the consumption of energy on the planet. If you use AI to forecast when the building will be used, when it's better to start your air conditioning, when it's better to stop your heating, you can, without touching any comfort, decrease by 10 to 20% your consumption of energy. Another example. People very often make an opposition between economics and sustainability. And I put aside politics. If I look at what we do with our customers, one of the big challenges to decarbonize the world, as I was saying, is to use electricity. But electricity itself needs to be decarbonized. So you see more and more solar panel, wind, so you have more and more deconcentrated energy. So you're going to end up with, let's say, a large mall, an airport, a large building, having its own generation of production of electricity, some battery to store some of it, maybe some wind, and connect it to the electrical grid. You need always to choose if you buy your electricity from the grid, if you sell it to the grid, if you store in your battery, if you use what you produce, etc. The first driver will be how can I reduce my cost by using less electricity and when the electricity is deregulated, to buy it when it is cheap, which means I take from my battery when it's expensive, and I store in my battery and buy from the grid when it's cheap. When it's expensive, it is when you are burning gas and coal and oil to cover the peak. So if with AI, you help all these prosumers, people who have production of electricity, consumption and storage, to optimize their choices, not only they will do a great economical choice, but in addition to that, they will make a great choice of the planet because they will use less, and they will use from the grid when it is green and cheap electricity. So it's not always one against the other. So a combination of behavior, trying to be a bit more frugal, but at the same time, providing things with less energy, more decarbonized. This is where AI can make a drastic change.
And if I may, if I look to the corporation world more globally than only energy players, I would say that 8% only of them are fitting with their own goals that they set themselves towards sustainability. Only 8%. And the first reason why there's only 8% is data availability at scale. I see several reasons for that. The first one is that data is numerous, spread in very tiny systems. Sometimes it's very difficult to collect. That's the first thing. The second thing is that the sustainability expertise is very siloed and is very linked to one or two people with head of ESG or head of sustainability, and it has not been spread into all the different business units in the companies. So it's not enough a global question within companies. It's local questions, and we need to go beyond that. I would like to add that some companies do things really efficiently with AI, breaking those silos and being able to change globally their business model. Let me take the example of a sports leader in Europe, Decathlon, that you all know. They have designed a service named We Play Circular, meaning that they are going from product to service. And behind that, only AI can allow that. Meaning, when is the need for a customer to rent an equipment, a sport equipment, versus buying it? And for the next one who will use the same equipment, it's all about demand forecasting and understanding where the needs will occur. So this is AI behind that.
And one thing clearly, data access is a nightmare of any guy working in AI. That's the mother of all the battles, no doubt.
But if I may, why it's so important, as I said before, to develop authoritative and independent metrics, benchmarking and evaluation methodologies is because we need to be able to filter what is real, what is sincere, what is actually happening from the ground and on the ground from what is not actually real. I think that, as the students have said, a lot of people are fed up with the lack of sincerity in delivering those results. And these metrics do not exist yet. For example, on the energy and water consumption and recyclability of our products. They need to be put at the center of our production models to incentivize investment, including fiscally, and to put pressure where it belongs.